Welcome, everybody. I am so excited and honored. I am interviewing the incredible Gina Gardiner today on why her show is the new must have platform for transformational voices. A huge welcome, Gina.
Oh, thank you. It's such a pleasure to be with you.
I'm so delighted to introduce you to everybody. And your show is really known for the caliber of its guests and the global platform. So, a huge congratulations on what you've created and the movement that you've created.
Oh, thank you. It's been really interesting, and I get the huge pleasure and privilege of speaking to some amazing people.
Phenomenal. Well, let's go back to the beginning. What was the moment that, or the period in life that made you realize that you were being called to something greater?
So, my work has always been about personal empowerment and the development of leadership, but leadership in a conscious, holistic way. But around probably about 2015, 16, there was this real burning, and I couldn't quite work out what it was. And I have my own business and was working one on one with clients, training groups, speaking. But I had the sense that I needed to reach more people and that the quality of leadership around the globe was poor. And as a result, that people were struggling. And so I felt I needed to have a bigger platform in order to help people. So I started my other business, Gina Garden, Genuinely You. I had no internet presence at all. I think I had 20 friends on Facebook and about 10 on LinkedIn. Um, I didn't know what I was doing. And so I started by building that um, that awareness really. And then quite fortuitously, I was given the opportunity to do an online radio show. And the first radio show that I did, it was just me. And so I'd have 25 minutes a week where I'd just share my stuff. And I did that for a year, and there were two issues around it. One was that I didn't know where it was going, who was listening, how many people. It was going into a vacuum. And the
Mm.
second is I thought, do you know what? This is an opportunity where I need to share this, because if you want to make a positive difference in the world and you do your own stuff, you can do so much. But if you engage with other people and give the opportunity to share that platform, then like a stone in a pond, the ripples are much more far reaching. So I then, over a period of time, I had two or three different radio shows, all of them internet based. And they were the forerunner of podcasts, really, because at that time, podcasts were not really a thing. And then I was given the opportunity to work with the studios that I work with now. And for the first time, instead of it being internet based, the core of it was a radio station that actually had subscribers, that it was a syndicated radio show around the States. And so for the first time ever, I knew my numbers. I knew I didn't know who was listening, but I knew how many was listening. And I made the decision that I wasn't going to do a live show again because that's such a tie. But I
Mm.
wanted to have great guests. And I'd had, by this time, 5 years' experience of inviting guests. So I started off with guests who'd been on other shows who were great, and then always asked guests, do you know anybody else? And what I recognized was not only was I getting an enrichment because I was engaging with these people, the premise of the shows, they had to add value. And so listeners were getting the opportunity to hear the most amazing people, and the people themselves were getting a reach that they never would have had if they hadn't come on the show. And so this was like an explosion of opportunity, really. And I've been with the same organization in, there've been two different platforms, but they're the same organization. So my first shows used to get 365,000 people because of the syndication, because people are lazy and they don't really bother to switch something off if they're bored. Where now many, many more people, it's expanded hugely. But ultimately, the premise is still the same. It has to add value if somebody's going to come on the show. And the themes are eclectic. So For some people, they may be very interested in money or business or spirituality or health or an inspirational story. The focus doesn't matter, but the quality of the conversation does.
That's so important. I know that you've always led with love and leading with value. Everything you create offers so much value to people. And I mean, your work, I'm aware, you really help people reconnect with their voice, their message. You you're all about leadership and empowerment. Has that always been that way for you? When did that clarity land that that's the focus of your work?
I think that naming it, being able to identify that came later, but I started my professional life as a teacher. And
Mm.
so that's all about, as far as I'm concerned, personal empowerment and helping people lead themselves. I became a head teacher or a principal very early. I was only 29. Um, and I ran my school for just over 20 years, mostly from a wheelchair. And so getting people to lead themselves, take radical responsibility for themselves and a shared responsibility for the team was vital if the school wasn't going to suffer because of my inability to get in the classrooms. The result was amazing, and we won lots of awards. We were on the best 100 schools in England list twice during my tenure. And it was only then when we became a beacon school and started doing work for the National College and the London Institute, the DFES, it was all around leadership that I then started to recognize that actually, even back when I was a kid and I was, teaching my dollies, it was about, how do you enable people to be the best version of themselves and to grow? And so I've been doing it all my life. I just didn't have a label for it.
I love that. It's so true. That our self-leadership has such a ripple effect on all aspects of life. And then as leaders, when you're, leading a team of people or leading your business and communities, it, the, I think it's the most important skill that we actually need to develop as business owners and as entrepreneurs.
And we are the common denominator that we take into every moment of our life. So the principles that work so well when you're leading a group, a team, or an organization, little or big, actually work when you're with your family, your children, your friends. Don't work particularly well on your cat, I have to say. But ultimately, when you start with you, when your relationship with you is one based on loving and respecting who you are in a far better position to then enable other people. And I think the biggest gift we any of us can give is to believe in someone even when they don't believe in themselves, to give them that gift of, you haven't got the confidence at the moment, but I will support you to the point where you do have the confidence, where you can fly. And for me, that's been my greatest passion and my greatest pleasure throughout my life.
Oh, it's so beautiful, such a beautiful reflection. I think every human being at some point, needs that person who's believing in them and
Yeah.
cheerleading them on when they've had a something that has, because life is gonna life, isn't it? We're gonna all have the challenges, the grief, the struggles, the hardships, alongside the joy and all the beautiful things that, the rich tapestry of life, to be able to have someone like yourself partnering with you as you're navigating all of that, is phenomenal. I love how you help people. This is just so phenomenal.
Can I
Y-
just say, if you're an entrepreneur or a business leader, if you are looking for long-term success, your staff are your treasure. And
Yeah.
ultimately, when you lead by example, you are their role model, or I like to talk about their soul model, that you actually do care about them, that you engage with them, that you recognize potential and you nurture it. Your organization is going to thrive in a way that you would perhaps only dream of. Because when you've got them engaged in helping you deliver your vision, they've got ownership of that. they're creative in terms of finding solutions. You are well placed to manage the change and the challenges that the economic climate consistently bring you.
This is brilliant. And I think, thank you so much for speaking to that, because I think so often people can really shy away from leadership, or shy away from well, what good leadership actually looks like. Um, because when then people are thinking, oh, I've got to delegate this to somebody, and being able to do it in a way that helps people to be fully on board with your mission, rather than it being a sort of transactional
Yes.
task
Yeah.
thing.
When they take ownership, you end up with instead, think about it, if you think about a group of people and you think about the individual IQ, EQ, their experience, expertise, their level of creativity, there is magic that happens when you put people together. The level of curiosity and creativity when you've got a truly learning organization. It doesn't matter what the widgets are, you can do that, whatever the industry, whatever the business. You trigger ideas and things that nobody would ever have dreamt possible, because you are harnessing something which is much bigger than the sum of the parts.
Mm. This is beautiful. I think, every entrepreneur actually needs to have a leadership coach like yourself to
Well, I
help them to really get the best out of their team.
I practice what I preach, because however experienced you are, and I'm a bit long in the tooth, I've been around for a long time, you sometimes it's hard to see the patterns that are holding you back. But somebody who has that experience that you trust, and who you really respect, in terms of that they've got your back, that if they do say something that perhaps feels critical, that they're doing it because they care. So you're engaging not only your own BS meter, and I'm a great one for listening to your BS meter, but you've got theirs, and sometimes theirs is jangling in a way that yours is blind to. And so ultimately having that critical friend, and I mean critical in its most constructive way, who's going to support you, who's going to fight your corner and champion you, that doesn't mean they're yes people. And that having somebody who's going to do that, I think is, well, I would say to anybody, if you're not doing it, you're missing a trick, because that will fundamentally change the trajectory of your business and your life.
Completely, completely. I'm echoing this with you. This is beautiful. So, so beautiful. Oh, Gina, there's so much we can dive into. I'd love to circle back if it's okay, just to, because you mentioned about, oh, your show has a few more people, listeners now, but actually just to highlight this, because the visibility you offer is completely remarkable. So would love to just dive into, because this is the compound effect of all that you've created over the years in relation to the reach of your show. So how expansive is your reach now? Because this is impact. You're having a massive impact.
We get 3.2 million listeners a month consistently, and it is growing still. It's available through a free app worldwide. And it doesn't matter whether you've got Apple or Android, the Brushwood Media Network App. It's then archived on there, but once it's gone, it's aired, and they're all pre-recorded. I don't do live shows now. It goes on to all of the podcast platforms, Pandora, Apple. In fact, the show is supported by Apple. There's a very close relationship. It's on Apple TV now, Roku TV, on
Wow.
some of the other things as well. So it is growing. Just heard this week that they're going to put, those things that you see in airports where you've got the revolving film going on. The show's going to be going on some of those. So it is growing. And it is archived. So it's archived on the website and on the app for a while, but then it's archived on these podcast platforms for good. And the other thing about it is I want to add value to my guests. And so once it's gone live, and there is a delay between recording and it going live, but once it goes live, they get the raw Zoom. And they can use that for sound bites. They can use it in its entirety. Eventually, I put them on YouTube, but I have to say I'm very behind. So they get a resource that can serve in many different ways.
That is phenomenal. I mean, 3.2 million listeners a month and growing. I mean, that is impact. I just want to take my hat off to you for that,
Thank
because
you.
those numbers are numbers that people dream of, and that's actually hearts and minds that are listening to the conversations that you're having with your guests every day, which is just phenomenal.
I mean, the spread geographically, because of the syndication, it's still a syndicated part of a syndicated radio show. The biggest number are in the United States and Canada, but it's growing in Europe. About 25% are in the UK. The rest are worldwide, and for some unknown reason, the show is very big in Iceland,
That's
which
amazing.
amuses me. But the feedback is really lovely. The show goes out, it's repeated twice in the day, and we've got a great time. So it's 8 in the morning UK time, so 3 a.m. Eastern, midnight Pacific. So truck drivers like it. They tell me it keeps them awake and it gives them something really interesting to listen to. But it's repeated again, so 11 o'clock UK. So 6 p.m. Eastern. So we've got a really great time. And then I don't know why I would have expected my listeners to be in quite a discrete age range, perhaps from 40 to 60, but there's an even spread more or less between 18 and 80,
Wow.
slightly more men than women. And so, it's obviously appealing to, even though the subject matter might be different in every show, and it's very different,
Mm,
over time it appeals to everyone. And I always try and bring in how the lessons are, whatever you're talking about, there's a lesson in terms of life. There's something to take away. There's a resource or a strategy or a perspective that you can take away and use.
that's amazing. And I have to say, you are an excellent interviewer. You really do bring the best out of your guests. I've had the pleasure of being interviewed by you, and it is a skill. So just wanted to kind of highlight that for anyone who's thinking, "Oh, I'd love to get onto Gina's show. I wonder what it would be like." It's an absolute joy, I have to say, as one of your
Thank you.
previous guests. Phenomenal.
I believe that in a sense, going back to the empowerment, that's my job, is to get the best out of my guests, to ask the questions. And it's an organic conversation. That the only two questions that are guaranteed is, tell us your story and where can people find you. Um, the organicness, I don't think that's a good bit of grammar, but being
We'll
able
go
to
with it.
take out the questions from that, and then expanding where perhaps I think that they're missing a trick. So tell us more about that, or asking a question that deepens that part of the interview. I think I've now been doing into radio since 2017, so I've got quite a lot of experience of helping people. Um, and because it's done over Zoom, if there is a faux pas, we can edit it out. Or if very occasionally, I think it's happened twice, that somebody has just gone completely blank and said, I'd like to start that again, we can do that because it's pre-recorded.
That's beautiful. That is so beautiful. I love it. This is fantastic. And like, so you reach a huge range of people, and you have all types of people listening as well, like you said, men and women,
Mhm.
across different time zones. I mean, the this is phenomenal, the impact, and to be able to for your guests to get their message to that range of people is just absolutely incredible. I feel like you're a household name, Gina.
Well, getting there, I think. Certainly a household name in some households, according to the emails I get.
Yeah.
But I think people appreciate the fact that there's no hard sell. What you're doing is
Mm,
selling yourself through the
mm,
conversation, and that people value the fact that it is, they recognise it's designed to serve them.
yeah.
It's not self-serving, and I think that comes across in spades, and that's one of the reasons why it's so popular.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. And so what type of guest is this show perfect for? Who do you look for in terms of guests? if there's people listening thinking, oh, I'd love to apply to get onto Gina's show?
There's all sorts of different people, but I think the commonalities is there are people who want to make a positive difference in the world, who want a bigger platform, who want the capacity or the opportunity to spread their word more widely. They are people who are passionate about what they do. Sometimes it's an inspirational story, often a real challenge that's happened to them and how they've adapted in their life and now want to help other people. They're business people, authors, they are entrepreneurs, they are people who work within charities. Again, the themes are eclectic. My job as the interviewer is to really get the best out of them. This is not the right show for you if you want to do a hard sell. It's not the right show for you if it's about your ego. It is the right show for you if you want to uh, enter people's private space and share your story because you want to make a positive difference. And even if your theme is not particularly their bag, people really appreciate somebody who's coming, who's authentic, who is honest. At times, people are very vulnerable on the show, depending on what the theme is. That authenticity is really important.
Yeah, it's the way we connect, isn't it? To be able to connect with other humans, and I think everyone's really searching for more and more connection
Yeah.
at the moment. And what I see with your show, it truly is one of the highest return on investments for visibility opportunity for your guests. This is just, yeah, so exciting. So for guests that are coming on the show, I know that there's it's a nominal fee, Gina.
It's to
What?
pay for the editing, really. I have to pay for the show to be edited to go onto the platform.
Mm,
And I do a number of shows. And to start with, I funded that, but it's got to the stage now because I've increased the number of shows up that I just need to cover my cost, really.
yeah, well, I think it's hugely generous of you to offer this with this nominal contribution for people. So they get the professionally produced radio show, they get the full uncut Zoom recording that you mentioned, social media graphics, access to
Yeah, we
millions of
send out
listeners.
something for people to use, and of course, the more you share it on your platform, and some of my guests have created their own graphics as well, which we then are happy to share. So, a lot of it is how much you put into it, really, in terms of what you get out of it. But we also put it out on social media, and the station are always advertising too.
Amazing, amazing. So for our listeners, how can someone book their appearance with you? What's the step that they need to take? What's the next step?
The easiest way is to email me. The show is called Gina Gardiner and Friends. That's GinaGardiner, the word and friends at gmail.com. And if you put in the subject line your name, so I know it's come from you, and request to be a guest, something like that. And then I'll send them all the information and the booking form.
Amazing, amazing. So when you say your name, my name or their name?
If they put your name,
Okay. Yeah, my
because then
name.
I'll know it's come from you, so I know that you get a third off the cost, and then their name, request to be a guest.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for that generous gift of giving people a third off. That's just absolutely phenomenal. I would just encourage everybody to run. Don't walk to this opportunity. There is nothing that will give you that such a big return on your investment for visibility. It's just absolutely phenomenal. Any final words, Gina, before we wrap up to people who may be considering this opportunity?
Just to say, you don't have to be an experienced podcaster or guest. Many of the people who've been on my show, it's the first time they've ever tried this. Know that you're coming to a safe pair of hands. What you do need is to know what it is you're wanting to share and to be prepared to have an organic conversation so that we can get the best out of you to give the best to the people that we're serving.
That is beautiful. Thank you so much, Gina, for having this conversation with me. I'm so excited, and a huge congratulations to you for the success of your show and the impact and contribution you're making to those 3.2 million listeners. It's
Oh,
phenomenal. Thank you.
thank you very much for the opportunity. It's been an absolute pleasure.